Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And we are going to talk about personal sovereignty and why it's so important in magic. Why it's so important as a human being, as you. You cannot fully arrive at personal sovereignty until you accept you're the hero of your own story, of your own life. And so I'm actually very much into all things magical. You could have labeled me as a dreamer, a space cadet, woo woo, you know, irrational, uh, and throw that person out. No good to be a slave, no good to be under my control because he's kind of left, you know, off on a magical spiritual adventure, into the world of dreams, mysteries, and anything you could imagine. Just, get me out of this mundane situation I'm in. And the circle comes back around. The beginning is the end is the beginning. So, through exploring Zen, martial arts, Hinduism, yoga, shamanism, and other spiritual practices and lifestyle, looking for soul, looking for meaning, looking for answers, to only end up back at the beginning with the self. And this wasn't an average seeker. For this person, thought for himself and did for himself and willed for himself. So it wasn't like truly a broken person looking to heal and fill in voids and broken missing pieces and solve the riddle, but someone who, in a weird way, wasn't broken. Who had some of those foundational things. Were things perfect? No. And yes, there were a few voids, but come to find out, those voids only needed to be filled with myself. Due to my absenteeism. You're tardy for class. What class? The class of being you. You're unprepared. You didn't do your homework. What homework? I didn't know there was a test. Every day is a test. And the textbook you should be reading is the story of you. You. How do you read this book? How do you decipher this language? Through experiencing you. No more self abandonment. So, self abandonment doesn't have to always happen through a broken, injured individual. It could happen to someone who's obsessively into their hobbies and interests. Mine happened to be an obsession with astral projection, lucid dreaming, and magic. Mysteries, magic, a little more mundane art and beauty, you know, trying to make the world a better place, trying to make my world a better place. Uh, and then there were some side-tracked journeys. But this video is in response to a coworker who says, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I feel kind of lost. You know? And of course, my first response is, date me. And then it's like, no, let's really think about that. Why would someone be lost when they are the greatest thing that's ever going to happen in their life? Why would you feel lost with yourself? Do you not know uh, your own majesty? Do you not know your own self-worth? And then I'm like, we go through these cycles, you know? And I'm like, he's probably eating processed foods, which don't help your neurology. You can't see clearly and you can't feel those good vibrations. So, diet change. And then I'm like, you're probably looking in the wrong direction. And that direction is kind of inward, but also all around you. The direction is like appreciating yourself. Look at your story. Look how far you've come. Not to play the victim, but to look how you've met these challenges. And you understand your light and dark. You understand how you torture yourself needlessly, how you trick yourself needlessly, and then how you undo it all and kind of like rebirth and refresh yourself. And wasn't that an amazing head trip you put yourself through? Only you know yourself, and only you will actually be with yourself. And so it can seem misunderstood. It looks like loneliness, but when you understand it, we all need a little room. We all need a little space to shine bright, to make the world a better place, to truly understand you are the change. Be the change. And so, this philosophy of self love, this philosophy of realizing your worth, is a great mystery and necessary on the magical path. Imagine you trying to ward off some evil wizards and aliens, and your enemies, though full of ego and superiority and self righteousness, they think they are right, they're on the side of right, you're the wrong. You have to be villainized. Everyone thinks they're right. You have to know in your soul. You have to know through experience. So, through experience, through tasting your own divinity, you gain experience. And going through experiences, great or small, inner or external, you build up confidence. And it has to, you build skill in understanding fully your majesty, your divinity. Imagine how much stronger your will is. How you're cleaner your aura, stronger your aura. How more total and complete you are as a being. You all of a sudden get out of codependent relationships. Your enemy is codependent on you, fighting back and playing the part that they're framing you for. And so you don't really have a choice. They're ganging up on you. They're deciding what the rules of the game are. And obviously, all the rules are in their favor and they beat the crap out of you in a magical sense. But this also happens at work. This also happens, you're being framed. Pin the tail on the donkey. It's always you, right? Until you understand, wait a minute, I'm awesome. The way I see things is the way I see things. I have my own truth now. So now you start to move into this whole different ball game. Instead of being subjugated and subject and less than group agreement, collective agreement, now the scale is starting to be balanced. Now there's two opponents. It's 1 against 10. But that one who is so realized can fight 10. And so now the odds are even. Now you have a fighting chance to turn the tide, to turn the table. What is magic? But the art of creating change in conformity to your will. So this is why your self-esteem is so critical. So living in self-doubt, being a people pleaser, buying into the stories, even factual stories, narratives, stories lived of how you didn't get your needs met as a child, blah, blah, blah. Your poor victim story. When you uh, see the self deception through the stories that narrate your life, when you see through the self deception of your belief system that is maintaining your victim identity, that's maintaining your limitations, it's serving you to help you put on the brake because you feel like you're going too fast into being awesome. When you realize you're playing the game wrong and you're like, oh, I need to actually take the brake off the gas and push on the gas and make my car go forward, accelerate into personal awesome, accelerate into sovereignty, self appreciation, gratitude, joy, bliss. Uh, when you now see that is critical and crucial, you go, oh, I don't need to entertain these negative stories. I don't need to go to therapy and hash out my past and blame my parents and never get anywhere. Listening, I don't need to give my power to a therapist. I can be my own therapist. I can be my own guru. This is what we're moving into the level of self empowerment. Gods are self empowered. Leaders should be self empowered. So, this authority, the ability to author your own story, authority is you. So, recognize when you drop the pen, recognize when you hand it over to others, your boss, your friends, your parents, your past, your future, invisible entities, spirit guides, psychics, shamans, medicine plants. You even hand over your magical writing pen to inanimate objects. Your stuffed animal, your toys, your car, your house. So this can be as broad, this can be as deep as you wish. But look how you sell yourself out. Look how you self abandon. My mom and dad weren't there for me, my brother and sister, the school system wasn't there for me, the government's not there for me. Yeah, everyone is pretty self serving. So get up, get back in the ring, my friend, my brother. I want to see you win. I want to see you be champion. You know, TKO, knockout. If you have to get knocked down a few times to get back up, if you have to resurrect yourself, you know, do a phoenix thing, do a comic book thing, if you have to come back to life by going on an underworld journey of self reflection, if you have to go through the shadows, go through the dark to find the gold, do it. If your life has to be a hot, sloppy mess of suicide to come back full circle, do it. You know, because when you come back with the new upgraded version of Know Thyself to be true, Know Thyself, your glow up is awesome. So, yes, that was pretty inspiring. And yes, put back on your crown before you pick up that sword, Aleister Crowley. Let's move in to a little bit more magic. So, the Kabbalah, the Tree of Life, has so many other systems and cultures piled on top of it. It can kind of get you nowhere. You go to a magic school and they're telling you about the Hebrew letters and you need to tone the names of gods and angels. Whoa, let's back up. Before we go summoning gods and angels, before we do tarot path working on the 22 paths and the 10 spheres and all that good stuff, before we use and master The tree of life is a template for all high magical operations, symbols. Before we use it as our shaman's key to navigate the planes, the ethers, before we bridge the three worlds and the four worlds of creation and the 36 planes of the ethers of Enochian magic, can we just center ourselves? Can we just use the simple model that will be reflecting the simple truth? Earth is at the bottom. Above the earth, the moon. Above the moon, the sun. And above the sun, Kether, or source energy, the fountainhead, or the opening, the less divine, into this universe. So you could say the central sun, or, source energy as we know it. Could this simple straight line from above to below, from a below to above, be the staff of the wizard? Could this be the spinal column of the Hindu mystics and the Kundalini serpent? Could this be the tree of life in the Norse mythology, like the world tree? Yes. A big yes. Now, how do we utilize this? How do we use this as the roadmap to understand our journey of awakening, ascension? So ascension and awakening is essential on the path of magic, however you identify yourself. And it just so happens that the Kabbalah, its keys as a full image, serves as a really great measuring device. So when I work magic, my 5-pointed star is turned downward. Anything a wizard does has meaning, loaded with meaning. There's intention behind it. It doesn't have to be too intense, but it's like, why? There is a reason why. Why? Because with a culture, a nation, a world, and a whole era, and this era has been gone on for a long time, all this spiritual seeking has been about off planet, go to heaven, ascend, and it never offered you the ladder back down. It was please God, make it to heaven was the goal. Go to outer space is the goal. This up and out is the target, but there is no plan to return back. It's like, let's take a crap in our sandbox, our bodies, our earth, our neighbors, our country, our state, our life. Let's take a big crap in our life because we're divine and the gods are going to save us. And just believing in them, we're going to spiritually bypass all the personal responsibility, accountability. We're not going to do the inner work. We're going to leave that up to others to clean up after us. I mean, look at our dumping ground. So our ecosystem reflects this attitude that's been solidified into a culture. And literally, this invisible God, this invisible target of more, 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 of happily ever after, of love, of happiness. It's invisible because you don't do the return journey back to self. You don't integrate it, bring those powers back into you to be love, to be happiness. You are heaven on earth. You are the deity. So when you go to Kether, it's the self-realization of your own divinity. When you're in the level we need you to get to is solar plex and heart chakra. So the heart will balance all the spheres, Tefereth or Tifereth, whatever you'd like to call it, the beautiful sphere. But you have to get to this level of I will, I know, I am divine. So we see this in the God Kings. The God Kings, the kings of old, the kings and queens, the royals, accredit their royalty to a divine being, to a divine connection, whether it was the Fae, whether it was the gods like Ra, or the sun goddess. This claim is more than a claim. It's a connection. It's a devotion. It's not a worship. It's a devotion to a truth, to a connection that strengthens over time and is the work of kings and queens, hence the royal crown. When you feel, so it's the middle pillar. And is a wizard any less than a king or a queen? No, and maybe even more so. You have to have a connection to the current of magic. You have to have a connection to the gods to do anything magical, whether it's to play psychic or play oracle, or to create change. You're doing it with the co-creation. And it takes one to know one. It takes a being of self-worth to interact with a being of worth. It takes a being of divine heritage to interact with another being of divine heritage. Otherwise, you fall down into the root system, go into the dark side of the tree, and you're basically hanging out with riffraff. You're with the dredges and marginalized of the other kingdoms. Is that really what you want? Look into our world, and there are hierarchies of class, and a lot of it is based on willpower and self-worth. You're at where you're at because of your willpower and your self-worth, and because you have certain levels of self-worth, you're not going to accept less into your life. You're not going to accept certain situations, therefore they don't. And some of these things are so deeply embedded, you don't realize it. But when it really comes down to it, if you really look within yourself, you're like, yeah, there's a certain level of lifestyle I maintain because for me, I will not accept any less. There's a certain level of communication I require from my friends. Anything less, I do not accept. And so there is this operator inside. There is a driver in the vehicle of your life, and it's you. It's not invisible. It's you made flesh. So for some people, they're going to have to do a 180 and start to look at their physical body as more than just a means to an end, but a divine instrument, a temple. They're going to have to start looking at their mind as a temple, their heart as a temple. And would you let anyone in? Would you not put up a filter? Doesn't matter how high up they are in this plane, how great they are with all their awards and trophies and everyone else backing them up as someone special and all the money in the world. Why would their opinion be more than yours? So everything in a weird way is kind of below you when they enter your world. It deems filtration, consideration, and you are the end all and be all. Your word is the word that goes. When you say yes, it goes. You have the ultimate authority within yourself. So in order to be the hero of your story, you have to be the authority. In order to be the authority, you have to have that divine connection. If you're playing around with all the bells and whistles, the glamour, the charms, the tools. Like if you need the objects, you're at Malkuth. If you need history and meaning and words and culture, you're at Yesod. If you need divine visions of angels and, you know, and an emotional tie, and you need to feel like you're a part of it, you're still kind of like at Yesod. When it kind of starts to transcend it into an ascension where you start to realize your interconnection to these things, when you're realizing it's not, words aren't that powerful, it's more the intention behind it. Intentions aren't that powerful, it's more how my heart aligns to it. Speaking my truth, being the authentic me. When time and space start to break down, and when it's more about the energy and the frequencies and just being in alignment, you're at Tifereth. And when you start to move into that oneness, total timelessness, oneness, you're at Kether. When it's all good, when I don't need to do anything, when, it is what it is, when you can sit in the silence and be radiating the loudest, when one man alone in his hut can be holding down the fort for the whole planet, you're at Kether. Divine inspiration, where you and God are one. I and my Father are one, you're at Kether. When you realize, and you don't need to go that far, you don't need to turn into a blazing ball of white light and disintegrate the planet. You can. That, you could tone it down a bit and just hold those energies within you. And, so you're waking up going, you know what? The greatest gift is this moment. Whoa. That was many, many processes from outer to inner just to have that one breath. I'm experiencing it through my body, through this body. I'm having an exchange with my environment, So there's a level, when you can walk with, you're blessed. When you feel blessed, you're at Tifereth. You're like, there's greater above me. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than me. Yes, that which created it all is greater than all of us. And as we align and harmonize, the more you align and harmonize with the magical current that you're working with the deity that you're working with, all these little stepping stones, the more you become them. The more you align, the more you take on those attributes. So, yes, we run the risk of megalomania and a messiah complex. But the tree allows you to fall out and fall down and start over again for a new cycle. Get intoxicated. Get drunk on God consciousness, but then come down, integrate it, full circle. The star points down to earth. Why are we doing this? We are evolving humanity. We are changing the collective pattern. And due to my newfound vocabulary and understanding, collectively, we're moving out of the fight and flight nervous system, and we're going to move into relax, create, digest, feel peace, feel love nervous system. So in a binary system for humans, we're switching nervous systems collectively. Have you ever noticed some people you just can't get through, and some people just have these rigid values and beliefs, and it's just like hitting a brick wall? What you're actually experiencing is they're locked into their fight or flight warrior nervous system. You get shit done, And it doesn't matter if it's ugly or beautiful, shit's gonna get done, and they're just gonna survive another day. There's no real room for creativity, empathy, rethinking things. You're not safe. When you go into relax, digest, your safe mode, then you can ponder, contemplate, then you can do some self reflecting, get some uploads, downloads, integrate, see bigger picture. Now they are reasonable. Now they are ready. So the whole art of hypnotism and most of magic is to move people from their fight or flight, linear thinking, nervous system to their relaxed recovery nervous system, creative nervous system. So it's like flipping a switch. So collectively, we're going to flip that switch. How scary is that? To these warriors who think everything is so important and you have to fight your way through life, when they see someone relaxed, it freaks them out. So anyways, so that's why they look at you like that, and that's why you can't relate to them. Now that you know this, the big work is to collectively shift that. So as you shift, as you exist, why incarnate on the planet? Why would you choose to go to a living hell to make it a paradise? You signed up for it, basically. But it might help you to realize your battle is not with the individual. It's not about wrong or right polarity. It's about you're going to change. You're going to adjust a collective pattern that isn't serving anyone. Doesn't serve the planet, doesn't serve your ancestors, doesn't serve the future, doesn't serve anyone at this time. So when you hit these roadblocks, when you want to go into blame, when you want to go into polarization, which looks like right or wrong, I'm good, you're bad, realize there's the neutral zone. Everyone there is a program running, it's influencing all of us. It's not aliens, it's not advanced technology. I would dare say it's just the process of patterns, cycles, and repetition. It's a collective agreement that's enacted out over and over again. Your 9 to 5 job, over and over and over again. It's repetition. It's the hypnosis. It is the dream that the mystics talk about. Everyone is just dreaming the same dream, moment to moment, day to day, year to year. And it's the dream of human limitation. Well, a wizard steps out of it. That's why you have to be on board with change. And you're here to make that change.